artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It's not just a tech headline anymore, is it? It's really becoming this almost invisible force driving scientific discovery.
Absolutely, in all sorts of fields.
Yeah, exactly. Like predicting how proteins fold, which is incredibly complex,
Yeah.
or simulating how the universe formed, mapping insect brains.
Mind-boggling stuff.
It really is. It's moved way beyond just computer science labs. It's like part of the daily toolkit for scientists everywhere now.
Which brings us to the big question we want to dig into today. Who's actually using AI in science? What makes a researcher decide to adopt it?
And maybe even more interestingly, why do some stick with it, really integrate it, while others maybe try it once
Yeah,
and then just drop it?
exactly. What's the difference there? So to help us figure this out, we're looking closely at a really significant study. It's called Drivers and Barriers of AI Adoption and Use in Scientific Research.
Right, by Bianchini, Muller, and Pelletier.
And this isn't just some small survey. They claim it's one of the biggest, most systematic looks at AI uptake across science to date. Yeah, and the scale is pretty impressive. They use this huge public database, OpenAlex.
OpenAlex, tell us a bit about that.
So think of it like this massive library catalog, but for scientific papers. Hundreds of millions of publications covering basically all fields, going back to 2006 and up to this year, 2024. And their focus wasn't the AI developers themselves, but what they call domain scientists.
Meaning researchers outside computer science, like biologists, physicists, chemists.
Precisely. They tracked when these scientists first started using AI methods in their published work. And then, crucially, did they keep using AI in subsequent papers, or was it a one-off?
Okay, so tracking both first steps and long-term commitment.
Exactly, which gives us a really solid base to understand how these things spread, not just in science, but maybe in your own work, your own field, too.
Perfect. So that's our mission for you, our listener. Let's unpack this study. Let's see what patterns emerge and what they tell us about how new tech really gets adopted. Now, the researchers needed a way to structure all this data, right? They didn't just count papers. They used a concept called Scientific and Technical Human Capital, STHC.
Right, STHC. It sounds a bit academic, but the idea is simple, really.
Break it down for us.
It basically says that adopting something complex like AI isn't just about how smart one individual is. It's shaped by the resources around them, their institution, their network, their own background.
Okay, so it's looking beyond the individual researcher.
Exactly. It frames AI adoption as being influenced by these broader contexts. It's not just a personal light bulb moment. And the STHC framework splits these resources into three main buckets. First up is institutional capital.
Okay, like the university or research institute itself.
Yeah, things like, how prestigious is the institution? Is it already known for AI research? Critically, does it provide access to things like high-performance computing HPC? Big computers, basically.
Gotcha. The resources the place provides.
Then there's social capital. This is all about connections. Who do you work with?
Collaborators.
Exactly. Especially, do you collaborate with colleagues who already have AI experience? And interestingly, they highlighted connections with early career folks, PhD students, postdocs.
Ah, the ones who might bring in the latest skills.
Precisely. They often bring that fresh, cutting-edge expertise. So your network matters a lot. And the third bucket is individual capital. This is more personal.
Like the researcher's own background and skills.
Right. Are they naturally curious? What's their reputation like? What skills have they built up over their career? And also, is their specific field, naturally close to AI, or is it a bit of a stretch?
So putting it all together, it's the institution, the network, and the individual's profile.
That's the idea. It helps us see adoption as this complex interplay. It's not just about whether you can code or not.
Right, it's much more layered than that. Okay, that framework makes sense. So with that in mind, let's get to the really juicy part. What did they actually find? What were the big patterns in AI adoption?
Well, this is where some things get quite surprising, actually.
Okay, hit us with finding number one. Let's talk institutions first. Did being at a top AI university or having access to those big computers matter as much as we might think?
Initially, yes, absolutely. In the, let's say, earlier years, they looked at being in an AI specialized place or having easy HPC access gave researchers a definite edge. They were much more likely to adopt AI.
Okay, that's logical.
But, and this is the fascinating bit, that advantage has really faded over time, significantly.
Really? Why?
It seems to be down to the technology becoming more accessible. Think about pre-trained models, these powerful AI systems that are already trained on huge data sets.
You don't have to build them from scratch.
Exactly. And also, cloud computing, now you can essentially rent supercomputing power online. You don't need the massive hardware in your basement anymore.
Ah, so the barriers to entry just dropped.
Dramatically. It's kind of democratized access, which is a pretty big deal.
That really levels the playing field, doesn't it? Okay, so institutional clout matters less than it used to.
Yeah.
What about finding two? You mentioned social connections earlier.
Yes, social capital. This turned out to be a really strong driver. If you collaborated with people who are already using AI, your chances of adopting it yourself went way up.
Okay, learning from your peers makes sense.
But here's the twist, the really surprising detail. Who were these influential peers?
Let me guess. The senior professors. The big names.
You'd think so, right? But often, no. The study found that junior colleagues, PhD students, postdocs, the ones fresh out of training programs with the latest AI skills, were incredibly important.
Wow.
In many cases, they were the ones introducing AI methods to their senior collaborators. It was knowledge flowing up the chain.
So the traditional mentorship model got flipped on its head.
Pretty much. The newcomers were bringing the innovation to the established figures. That's a really significant shift in how knowledge usually spreads in academia.
That is a real aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
The rookies teaching the veterans, in a way. Okay, what else? Any other key findings about who adopts?
Finding 3 relates to that individual capital idea, specifically curiosity.
Right.
They found that scientists who showed a high taste for exploration, people whose publication records showed they'd worked across different topics, tried different methods.
The dabblers.
Yeah.
The intellectually restless ones.
Kinda, yeah. Those explorers were significantly more likely to give AI a try.
Interesting. So openness to new things matters. But was there a flip side?
There was, and it's a bit counterintuitive. Highly cited researchers, the really established, well-regarded scientists in their fields, they were actually somewhat more hesitant to adopt AI early on.
Huh. You'd think they'd be leading the charge. Why the hesitation, do you think?
Well, the paper speculates a bit. It could be risk aversion, you know. If you've built a stellar reputation using certain methods, why risk trying something new and unproven that might not work out?
Stick with what you know, especially if it's brought you success.
Exactly. Or maybe just comfort with the existing tools and approaches that have served them well. If it ain't broke.
Right. Don't fix it, especially when your reputation's built on the unbroken part. Okay, that makes sense. But this leads to the crucial follow-up. What about sticking with AI? Trying it is one thing, but making it part of your regular workflow. What determines that?
This was finding 4, and it's really important. What separates the one-time experimenters from the long-term users?
Yeah.
Success and recognition. Basically, if that first research project using AI was successful, and specifically if it got cited by other scientists recognized by the community, then the researcher was much more likely to use AI again.
So positive feedback is key.
Absolutely. That validation, that sense that, okay, this actually worked and people noticed, seems crucial for continued commitment. If your first attempt kind of fizzles out, it doesn't get traction.
You're probably not going back for more.
Less likely, yeah. It suggests that the perceived impact really matters for sustained adoption. It needs to deliver results that are valued.
Okay, these findings paint a really interesting picture. We've got weakening institutional barriers, the power of collaboration, especially with junior folks, the role of curiosity versus established practice, and the need for validation. So what are the practical takeaways here? What does this mean for people listening, whether they're in science or not?
Yeah, let's translate this. There are lessons here for different groups. Take policymakers, for example, the people funding science.
What should they take from this?
The study suggests maybe focusing less just on buying big, expensive machines or infrastructure, and more on funding things that build connections, like programs promoting interdisciplinary work, making it easier for researchers to move between labs or fields, and really investing in AI training programs.
So foster the human network, not just the hardware network.
Exactly, because often the bottleneck isn't the tech itself, it's getting people connected and skilled up. Build the ecosystem.
Okay, that makes sense. What about research managers or maybe team leaders in any industry?
For them, the message is pretty clear. Embrace the youth. Well, not literally, but actively encourage bringing in those junior team members with the fresh AI skills. Don't just see them as trainees, see them as potential sources of innovation.
Right. Tap into that upward flow of knowledge we talked about.
Definitely. Also, organize things like interdisciplinary workshops, get people from different silos talking to each other, and maybe most importantly, create a culture where it's okay to try new things, to take calculated risks with new tools like AI, even if it doesn't pan out perfectly the first time.
Reward the exploration, not just the guaranteed wins.
You got it. Foster that openness.
And finally, what about for the scientists themselves or, for anyone listening thinking about adopting a new technology in their own work?
I think the biggest takeaway here is you don't necessarily have to become a hardcore AI coder yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the key seems to be collaboration. Find colleagues who do have those skills. Recognize where AI could help your specific problems and then build the right network to make it happen.
So it's more about being an informed user and collaborator than a technical master.
I think so. It's about spotting the opportunities and knowing who to talk to. That seems to be much more important for getting started and sticking with it than trying to learn everything from scratch yourself.
That's a really empowering message, actually. Focus on the connections and the application. This whole deep dive really underscores that AI adoption isn't just pushing a button on a new machine. It's deeply human, isn't it?
It really is. When you zoom out, what this study highlights is that AI is driving a social transformation in science as much as a technical one.
How so?
Well, think about it. Those junior researchers becoming mentors, the way success ripples through networks, these are social dynamics. Decisions about using AI aren't happening in a vacuum. They're shaped by who you talk to, what your lab culture is like, who mentors whom. It suggests labs or teams that are already collaborative and open are just much better positioned to embrace AI.
Compared to ones that are maybe more rigid or siloed.
Exactly. So any strategy for bringing in new tech, whether it's science policy or just managing your own team, really needs to think about strengthening those networks, encouraging that openness, breaking down cultural barriers.
Because the way people work together actually determines how fast new tools spread.
Precisely. The organization itself shapes the technological uptake. It's all connected.
So bringing this all together then, the core message seems to be that getting AI into science, making it truly transformative, is fundamentally a story about people, about networks, about collaboration, not just algorithms.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on.
Okay.
The rise of AI in science kind of echoes history, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Major breakthroughs often come not just from the invention of a new tool like the telescope or the microscope, but from how people and networks of people learn to use that tool effectively.
Right. The tool is potential, but the people unlock it.
Exactly. And AI is today's transformative tool. Its ultimate impact isn't predetermined. It depends on us.
On how scientists, institutions, policymakers, how we all work together to weave it into the fabric, the culture of how we discover things.
Yeah, making it accessible, making it usable, making it part of the everyday conversation. In that sense, watching AI adoption unfold is like watching science itself evolve. It's collaborative, it's connected, and hopefully it's guided by shared goals and values. Maybe think about how that same pattern technology plus human connection might be playing out or could play out in your own world.
A fascinating perspective to end on. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.